Thanks to our friends on the 5, and this is a Fox News Alert. Welcome to Hannity, and we are broadcasting tonight from Sin City, Washington, D.C. President Trump has just finished his rally in Iowa. We'll have highlights and reaction throughout this hour, but first, Democrats, they are in total disarray after last night's major win, again, for President Trump, and, of course, Republicans in the Georgia 6th District. Now, the left has absolutely no idea. They're completely out of touch with you, the American people, as we have been telling you. Plus, we will also expose tonight the biggest conspiracy theorist in the Destroy Trump media. And by the way, all that and more in tonight's very important opening monologue. All right, so the special election last night in the Georgia 6th District was supposed to be a big, huge, monumental moment for Democrats in their effort to resist President Donald Trump. And guess what? Just like with all the other special election races, it turns out to be a major win for the president and a massive, huge disappointment and failure for the Democrats. The Republican candidate, Karen Handel, she ended up beating 30-year-old Democrat Jon Ossoff, the new rock star of the left, who couldn't even vote in the race. Why? He doesn't live in the district. And what's even more embarrassing for Democrats, they spent over $30 million trying to help Ossoff win. It became the most expensive congressional House race in history, and they still came up way short. Now, liberals, actually, they would have been better, served if they dug a big, giant hole and threw all their money in it, or maybe give it to poor people and set it on fire. Anyway, it was a total waste of time and, of course, money from a lot of Hollywood people. And here's why. Democrats, right now, they have zip. They have nothing to offer to you, the American people. They're out of touch with you. And by the way, their ideas are old. They're tired. Every single thing they have tried has failed because, of course, they always believe more government is always the solution for all of our problems. Remember, President Reagan once said, government is the problem. For example, let's take a look at Obamacare. That train wreck is, of course, imploding right before your eyes. Remember, you keep your doctor, you keep your plan, and you save on average per family in America $2,500 per year. Well, the average increase was over $6,000 and $8,000 for American families. And earlier tonight, the president in Iowa slammed the Destroy Trump media and the losing Democrats. Watch this.
We will never be intimidated by the dishonest media corporations who will say anything and do anything to get people to watch their screens or to get people to buy their failing papers. They thought they were going to win last night in Atlanta. They thought they were going to win. And they've been unbelievably nasty, really nasty. And they thought they spent close to $30 million on this kid who forgot to live in the community that he was in. I mean, So they raised a fortune for him. They fought like hell. They said they were going to win. All of the television networks, other than Fox, which really has treated us fairly, by the way. They built these studios. CNN. Whoop. Hey, the camera just went off. I can't imagine. It's covered live. The camera just went off. I can't imagine why. This phony NBC television network. They actually had one of the people say, it was a little rainy last night. Maybe that was the difference in Karen's race. If she had lost, they would have been there for weeks talking about this. This would have been the greatest defeat in the history of American politics. When she won, when they said, projected winner is Karen Handel. Then they said, we switch to another program, right? So it was so short. They couldn't get out of there fast enough.
I'm kind of glad I don't work at CNN, the Clinton News Network, or NBC, the Conspiracy News Network. The president has a good point. Now, also tonight, we continue to expose the biggest black helicopter, tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist in the Destroy Trump media, NBC's Rachel Maddow. This is off the hook, out of control, and if it wasn't so serious, it's actually funny. Now, last night, remember, they were expecting a big victory. Results rolling in from the race in Georgia. President Trump mentioned this at the rally. Rachel Maddow, instead of focusing on their big loss, puts on her tinfoil hat conspiracy theorist wires. And by the way, if bad weather was to blame for bad Democratic voter turnout and their loss. You can't make this stuff up. Take a look.
If there was a turnout effect from the bad weather today in the district, does that have any partisan implications that you could foresee in terms of what was expected for same-day, election day voting in here rather than the early vote?
See, the weather kept only Democrats home. And, of course, a night cannot go by without Maddow floating some sort of Trump-Russia collusion conspiracy theory, even though nobody says it, nobody believes it. It's been debunked to date. There is zero evidence of Trump-Russia collusion, nothing whatsoever. It's been a farce, a total fabrication, 11 months of lies and conspiracies made up by people just like Maddow. Now, despite these facts to date, Rachel, she was at it again, whipping up a new crackpot theory involving President Trump, the mob money and money laundering, and even Vladimir Putin made it into the mix. Now, you cannot make this stuff up. Well, I guess apparently she can. It's NBC News. Take a look.
If this new reporting from Tim O'Brien proves out about Russian money pouring into Trump properties and it coming from sources close to Putin through people known for their mob and money laundering ties, if that reporting proves out, we're left with the question of why that happened. Why was money connected to Putin pouring into Trump projects? Why did they do that?
Keywords, if this proves out, but then she goes to, why would they do that? If you've been watching this show, you know that example is nothing compared to the other unhinged, completely insane things that NBC and Maddow are saying night after night, day after day. Here are just a couple of her craziest Trump-Russia conspiracy theories. You're going to love this. Take a look.
Just last week, Reuters reported on 18 new previously undisclosed contacts between the Trump campaign and Russian government officials. U.S. investigators, including the FBI, are looking into a Russian citizen in conjunction with one of the incidents on the Trump campaign last year. Maybe he's not as charitable as he says, or maybe he's not really under audit. Like, all of those little things might be true. Okay, that'd be interesting to know. I don't know that that would change the world that much. But what would change the world is if, you know, Russia was interfering in the election, and they weren't doing it on their own, and he was in on it. You know, the FBI director being fired by the president to try to change or stop an FBI investigation into the president's campaign and his top staffers. That is a big freaking deal.
Big freaking deal, no. By the way, you may remember back in 2011, Maddow tried to explain away then Congressman Anthony Weiner's very graphic, very lewd tweet. Another conspiracy theory. Take a look.
If the congressman was hacked, as he said he was, if he was pranked, how would that work? How could a person do that? What would that look like? The Daily Kos writer looks at the image of the congressman's Twitter account more closely, and judging from the pixelization of the images and some other visual clues, he concludes that the damage was a composite, saved a number of times, indicating it had been photoshopped. For a theory with fewer steps, a number of other blogs have different versions of a theory of a potential hacking that looks at the information embedded in this controversial picture. A third, but by no means final theory, has to do with the photo sharing service that I was talking about earlier, YFrog. It's not all that hard to generate a program that would try every possible combination using your Twitter name until you got the right email address to use this service to post pictures.
And there wasn't a hacking. Now, of course, there was also the time that Maddow theorized that Republicans may be pushing assassinations as an actual political tactic. Take a look.
Has enough kerosene been poured on the flames that the possibility of violence, even assassination, is being posited as a real political tactic in the United States?
And when I play the race card, last year Maddow asked if Donald Trump is, quote, a gateway drug to racism in the GOP. Let's look at this.
A lot of people who I think are critical of Donald Trump generally look at praise like that from somebody like Donald Duke and wonder if he is a gateway drug, if there is something beyond Donald Trump himself that means a much greater transformation of the Republican Party into something that is going to be new to mainstream politics.
So in the Destroy Trump media, what you just saw somehow passes for, quote, news. So I have to ask, hey, Tom Brokaw, are you proud of NBC News now? You know, I knew the late Tim Russert. He never behaved. He never reported things like this. For example, my former colleague, Megyn Kelly, moved over to NBC. Is she proud of this type of reporting? Megyn interviewed, for example, was a big deal, made a lot of news, conspiracy theorist Alex Jones last week. Should she now interview Maddow this week so she can be fair and balanced? What about Matt Lauer? Does he support this nonsense, these conspiracy theories that are being spewed? By the way, what about Andy Lack? He's the head of NBC. He okay with all this? Now, the only thing the Democrats, members of the Destroy Trump media, have left are these tinfoil hat conspiracy theories, as Rachel says, and they're using them to create distractions, to try and stop President Trump from what? Keeping his promises and his agenda, bringing him forward. And, of course, we're putting up on your screen right now the key points of the president's agenda. Now, Democrats and the media have proven they're willing to say and do anything to stop the president from enacting that agenda. Enough's enough. Here with reaction, editor-in-chief, LifeZette, Fox News contributor, nationally syndicated radio host, Laura Ingraham. What do you think
it's a very interesting pattern of gesticulation on the part of Rachel Maddow. I think we need like a body language expert in to just completely reveal what's really going on in her mind.
You know what the difference is?
God bless them.
We don't want to silence her. I say go for it.
I actually think she's kind of fun. I mean, if I were a liberal, Rachel Maddow would be all the rage. I mean, look, I think what we see in the country right now is that there are people on the far left who are frustrated with the Democrat Party because the Democrats are kind of caught in the middle of their own vortex. Some of the Democrats want to go far left. They want to go, income redistribution, jack up the tax rates to 67%. And then there are the ones who are kind of struggling kind of a little bit in the middle, and they're in no man's land. Mm-hmm. They've tried all those ideas of globalization and big government programs, and they failed miserably. Obama had a phenomenal personality, Sean, and he was able to outdo McCain, who was a terrible candidate, and Mitt Romney, who campaigned with the 47% disaster comment. And he was able to win both times. But I submit, had a candidate like Donald Trump really caught fire in 2008 and 2012, Barack Obama would not have won the presidency and certainly would not have been reelected. But we didn't have that candidate.
Some headlines post yesterday, Georgia 6th District.
I love the faces today on MSNBC. Ashen.
And CNN.
Yeah, no, they were great. They were so upset.
Democrats now turning on Pelosi. By the way, DNC fundraising in a free fall. You have Senator Chris Murphy of Connecticut saying his constituents, they don't give, quote, his words, a damn about Russiagate.
Right.
And Joy Behar says Trump hating isn't working.
Well, what do they have? I mean, all they have is the resistance. And what we saw in Georgia and in South Carolina, even though I think those margins could have been bigger for the Republicans had they embraced Trump in a more profound way. I think Karen Handel should have campaigned with Trump and should have defied Congress. She should have said, I'm coming to town, and we're going to get 2 pieces of legislation on the president's desk, and he's going to sign those pieces of legislation. It's going to make the lives of the American people better. She kind of was playing a little bit cutesy with Trump. She had the behind closed door fundraiser, but she was a little scared by the Chamber of Commerce that came in with a lot of money and did help Karen Handel, no doubt about it. But she was a little scared. The Chamber was like, whoa, play it easy on Trump. I think this election shows us once again that Donald Trump is much more popular than the Congress today that's resisting still his agenda. He was in Iowa tonight. Phenomenal speech, which reminds us why we want him on the road. Rally the people against the intransigence of Congress in both the Democrat and the Republican Party, and that thing's going to set on fire. He can set this country on fire in a good way, in a very positive way.
Freedom Caucus members Mark Meadows and Jim Jordan are going to be here later tonight.
Good.
Now, what's great about them is they're saying, all right, stop with the vacations. Get your work done.
Yeah.
The Congress is not keeping up with the speed of Trump. They need to do their job. Stop with the 30-day vacations.
They do. I mean, the August recess is, that time has come and gone. I mean, it's one thing if we're at 4% economic growth and they're hitting it out of the park, but their approval rating, I think last time I checked, was about 18%. Trump's at about 36%. Trump's riding high. He's double where Congress is today. Oh. And Meadows, the guys of the Freedom Caucus, they're good guys. I agree with them on most issues, but we also have to face facts. They don't have the votes. They don't have the votes for a clean repeal of Obamacare.
They know that.
They know that. McConnell and Ryan have to go to Trump and say, this is what we can pass. We've done everything we can. We've turned over every rock. This is what we can pass. Can you sign it? Then Donald Trump's got to make a decision.
What about Rand Paul?
It's got to be brutally.
What about Mike Lee?
They all have to be in on it. But if they do nothing, they might as well just like hang it up.
It's
hang
over.
up the shoes and let some real legislators come in and do it. Because 7 years later, we're all a little tired of this game. They're going to the think tanks and they're going to AEI and Heritage and giving lectures about, oh, how we're the master budget negotiators. No, you're not. Until you actually show the American people that you can get this House in order, you're not an expert at anything except hot air. We're all tired of that.
If they want to win in 2018, I think they need to follow. We already have Neil Gorsuch. That's a big win for.
We'll see. I hope he's good. I wasn't impressed with his first opinion, but we'll see about Neil Gorsuch.
We'll see. Okay,
he's
fair
a little
enough.
long-winded for my taste. He's trying to be Scalia. He's not Scalia. Neil Gorsuch, we'll see. I'm sorry. I trust but verify.
I know.
In Russian, it's
Doverai
не proverai. That's what we say in Russian.
Yes, that's, of course, we always talk Russian on the program.
Sorry, but it's a Russian conspiracy theory, and I got to stay
You're not
right
on NBC. This is not Russia every 5 minutes.
I speak Russian, so I'm part of the conspiracy.
You really
exactly.
When's the last time you've been there? They want to know.
A few years ago.
All right,
just 7 times.
If they don't have 300 miles of the wall, if they don't have Obamacare repealed and replaced, if they don't have the tax cuts in place for the middle class, corporate America, repatriated money, and if they don't have energy independence, they're risking losing everything. True or false?
Yeah, absolutely. And I think at that point, the Democrats go in for the kill. They have no agenda, but they can say, look, at least we were kind of like passing stuff. At least we were trying to pass stuff. We'll fix the stuff that we screwed up. These people are in the majority, and they can't get the ball across the finish line. They can't even punt it. I mean, they can't even punt it 40 yards. You know, no 2-point conversion. They got nothing. So they gotta start delivering for the American people. And they got some really good, dedicated public servants on Capitol Hill. Paul Ryan is a smart guy. Mitch McConnell is a master of all the minutia and the procedure. But he has got to stop with the criticizing Trump every time he gets. I'm sick of hearing what a great special prosecutor Bob Mueller is. I'm sick of hearing them all give cover to Bob Mueller. They should stand up and say, we'll see where this goes, but Bob Mueller, you know, last time I checked, he didn't turn water into wine at the Feast of Cana, okay? He's not Mr. Perfection, Bob Mueller, but they make him out to be like
I think
Mother
he's got
Teresa.
A nice edge tonight. I don't know.
See, when I'm in person with you, then I can go right.
Yeah, you go. Of course, you want to.
My radio show's just about to start.
Yeah, that's
so
true. In a couple hours.
I'm gonna go right in.
All right. Thanks.
See,
Great to see.
Moderate, Hannity. You're like a smooth
I know. I'm called moderate and liberal a lot.
I'm going to get my tinfoil hat conspiracy
up next tonight here on Hannity.
I've been watching, and they're saying President Trump has not produced health care. You know, I've been there for 5 months.
How long is this? All right, that was the president earlier tonight in Iowa. Kellyanne Conway will join us next in studio. Also, Jay Sekulow will join us later in the program. Should Mueller recuse himself from this entire investigation? That and much more tonight as Hannity continues live from Sin City, USA, Washington, D.C.
I've been watching, and they're saying President Trump has not produced health care. You know, I've been there for 5 months. If you remember, during the Clinton period, they worked for years and years and years. They never got health care. Obamacare is a disaster. It's over. And there's nothing to compare what we're doing. If we went and got the single greatest health care plan in the history of the world, we would not get one Democrat vote because they're obstructionists. They're obstructionists. I hope we're going to surprise you with a really good plan. You know, I've been talking about a plan with heart. I said, add some money to it. A plan with heart.
That was the president earlier tonight, Cedar Rapids, Iowa, talking about the GOP health care plan. Here with reaction counsel to the president, Kellyanne Conway. It's so good to see you. I never get to see you as much anymore.
The New Yorkers are here.
By the way, you know what it says here? It says #1 best host, Mr. Tucker Carlson. I'm like, well, really? Thanks for the invitation.
That's at 8 p.m.
Exactly.
You're the best at 10 p.m.
I'll put that. Thank you. Health care comes out in the Senate tomorrow. As the president said, it's been 5 months, making progress.
Definitely.
The agenda, I know a lot of conservatives are getting antsy, not at the president, at Congress's slow pace. Like me, I'm like, move, let's go, keep up with Trump.
Well, you're used to Donald Trump, and Washington's not used to Donald Trump. He's a disruptor, he's a businessman, and they're used to negotiating, making deals, and doing things very quickly. Look, I think that Donald Trump has proven, particularly through these special elections now, 4 for 4, that this isn't just a referendum on his agenda. This is a reaffirmation that many Americans are watching what he's doing, getting health care through the House, and then in short order getting it through the Senate, creating jobs. Look at how the markets have reacted to President Trump. The stock market, the NASDAQ, the Dow Jones, the S&P, all these confidence measures, the $4 trillion in wealth that's been created. People are spending their money again. What does all that mean? It means that they'll be confident when they see his health care plan. People know Obamacare is broken. And what Leader McConnell in the Senate has done is he is putting together a plan that he knows rips out Obamacare, branch and root. And let's remind people why this is being done. This is not being done to keep a campaign promise. This is an imperative. It's a moral imperative to those millions of Americans, Sean, who thought they would get better health care through Obamacare and have been left behind. I sat in a listening session with a number of them today in the White House. They tell you their stories, and you can't believe the premiums, the deductibles. They get that insurance card. So the government considers them as insured, but they can't use it because of the premiums and the deductibles.
Deductibles like $5,000, right?
Yes, and look at these look at these insurers. Another day, just today, another Anthem Inc. said that they're out of 2 more states.
You know, I want to hold up. This is Donald Trump's contract with the American voter, and it's right here. And, you know, if you can pan in on that. And here's what's important about this. And I was thinking about this with all the noise, all the vile hatred, the plays, the severed heads, the ISIS poses, and the insanity of the left. To me, the president and the Republicans, if they go along with him, they're going to be judged on their success.
Correct.
What they deliver in terms of jobs, the economy, energy, education. I know you're so into opioid addiction and prevention. All the noise and conspiracy theories aren't going to matter if he delivers and he's successful.
You know, during the campaign, I used to say that there's this total disconnect between what Americans are telling us is important to them and what they're being told is important to them. And I see it again now that he's president. The media and the Democrats have this Russian concussion, and they've lost, like, muscle memory to be able to function in any other way to talk about anything he's doing. But that doesn't mean the people don't see it. We hear from people every single day, Sean, who say, we're praying for you, keep going. They see the job creation. They see the investment that American companies are taking off the shelf. They know that he's trying to protect the American worker and American jobs, keep those factories open here. This is Tech Week. Last week was Workforce Development Week. What does that all mean? It means these apprenticeship programs where there's a 90% chance of being employed after you complete one of these apprenticeship programs with the welders, the carpenters, the hairdressers, the people you and I grew up with that are the backbone of our economy, that are the backbone of his electoral success. People want to know that their president respects all types of work. He dignifies all career choices.
I know you don't really probably want to come. I am so offended at the people that Mueller has hired, at Clinton's former attorney, Obama donors, Hillary donors. And here's the question. When the president goes directly to the American people, none of that matters to any of them.
They're just not. Look, people are not talking about Russia. You've got the Democrats talking about Russia. You've got Donald Trump and the Republicans talking about America, and I'll take America talk any day.
And that was the 6th district last night, wasn't it?
And that was the 6th district last night, where the people just tune out the noise and focus on the news. It's the difference between what's hypothetical and possible and if versus what's real and tangible and right in front of you. They open up their 401ks. They go to the local communities, to Main Street, to do their shopping. The small business owners are saying, I can actually hire one more person or provide my employees benefits or expand my operation or stay in business. What about all the aspiring entrepreneurs who never had a chance against the taxation and regulation in the last 8 to 10 years? They're happy now. They feel like their version of the American dream.
You bring back those multinational corporation dollars. You get rid of the regulations. You lower
people know
corporate
tax
taxes.
Reform is coming. Sean, what if these small business owners get a 15 or 20% tax bracket? It's unheard of. They'll reinvest that in their companies.
A lot of people will get jobs as a result.
And people know taxes are coming. They know health care is coming, spending. They're happy about infrastructure. Yeah. It'd be great for the Democrats to say, hey, air traffic control, great idea. But we know that, look, we know that they said resistance, and the voters agreed, and they're resisting the Democrats. Absolutely, the Democrats are in a world of hurt. They've got Nancy Pelosi, represents a district that 86% of them voted for Hillary and Obama. Come on.
Great to see you again. I haven't seen you in a while. Thank you. When we come back tonight on this busy breaking news night, right here in D.C., Sin City, on Hannity.
From the time I got in, I said, oh, this is going to be great. Finally, we're going to all come together. They hit me harder, harder, harder. They've now learned, I think, that doesn't work.
President Trump calling out Democrats at a rally in Iowa tonight. Jay Sekulow here with reaction later. Will Republican lawmakers forego one vacation, please? We'll check in with Freedom Caucus members Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, also Sarah Carter, Geraldo Rivera. Straight ahead.
The geniuses were saying this morning, you know, from the time he announced on June 16th, 2 years ago, they've been hitting the hell out of him. Hillary took almost all negative ads. The problem was when people went to vote, they didn't know what she stood for other than she was saying bad things about me. So from the time I announced, I've been hit. Then from the time I got in, I said, oh, this is going to be great. Finally, we're going to all come together. They hit me harder. They've now learned, I think, that doesn't work.
Apparently not. The president from earlier tonight taking a shot at the Democrats' very negative political strategy, no vision. Well, will left stop trashing the administration? Maybe come up with a plan to help you. Jay Sekulow is with us, chief counsel for the American Center for Law and Justice, also now an attorney for the president.
Hey, Sean.
That's so true. That's Georgia 6. But what bothers me is, okay, we go from one investigation, Russia collusion. Then we move on to, oh, okay, that didn't work. Let's try obstruction.
Right.
But the same guy that Comey sets it up, leaks information to the New York Times to get a special counsel, the guy that recommended to Comey to Trump that he fire Comey, now gets Comey's friend, BFF, and then he goes hire all these people that donate to Obama, Clinton, and Clinton's lawyer.
So what do we know? What's the one piece of evidence that we know in this entire case? What's the one thing we know for sure? James Comey leaked information that he got on a meeting with the President of the United States. I want that to be very clear. A meeting with the President of the United States, he's taking notes. He puts the notes in after he gets into his car and writes these notes down. He takes those notes, puts them into his government car, into his government computer, into his government desk, which he then leaks from his government desk to his friend at the Columbia University Law School. Illegal, violation of the law, clearly. If there was an investigation that's going on right now, the investigation should be James Comey. I'm hopeful that it is. It sure should be. Because here's the reality. The only thing we know, you've had all of these congressmen, all of these senators.
Investigate his BFF? What's going to happen?
Yeah, but here's the thing. That investigation actually is independent of this. So that investigation could go on within the context of the Department of Justice.
Can we investigate Loretta Lynch for obstruction while we're at it?
Well, here's the thing with Loretta Lynch. I mean, she got an absolute free. You talk about it, you know, it's not even fair to double standards to call it a double standard. But what we have to understand that's happened, and what is continuing to happen, is as these multiple track so-called investigations are going on, what do we know? You've had all these congressmen, all these senators, right, left, center, and they said, well, we haven't seen evidence of this. We haven't seen evidence of that. We really don't know. There's no smoking gun. They've been doing this for 10 months, by the way. We're acting like this is taking place in a vacuum. This has been going on for almost a year.
Do you have any doubt that mishandling of classified information by Hillary, destruction of classified top secret special access program information by Hillary, the Clinton Foundation pay to play 20% of our uranium signed off by her, or Michael Flynn, the violation of the Espionage Act, aren't they all felonies? Do you have any doubt felonies were committed?
No question. I mean, here's the thing that's absolutely made no sense on this. Of course, you left out the best one, which is the President of the United States, former President of the United States, Bill Clinton, meeting on the tarmac with Loretta Lynch.
It's called obstruction of justice.
Well, if there was an obstruction of justice, that certainly would be it, right? Okay, what happens on that one?
Wait a minute, it wasn't an investigation, it was a matter.
No, well, that's to me also another point. They will change the classification of what's going on when it suits their own narrative. But when it doesn't suit their narrative, you know what James Comey suffers from? I've said this before. Selective disclosure disease.
I got a last question.
Yeah.
Is the president going to get rid of the Obama holdovers, the deep state, the selective leakers that are trying to hurt him every single solitary day? Do they go?
They have to go, because the reality is that's where... Look, we've gone past now the security leaks, right? Remember the beginning of the year, we were dealing with all of the leaks. And then that kind of got lost in all of this. But at the beginning of this was the problem of classified information being leaked to newspapers, to reporters, and that's a crime. And you have
these leaks are now coming from Mueller.
This is
the special counsel.
Well, you're talking about that Washington Post thing.
Wait a minute.
Yeah,
anonymous.
No, not even anonymous sources. Anonymous sources from who? From agencies they wouldn't identify. So what do you have here? This is, the president uses the phrase witch hunt. I'm not sure it's fair to witch hunts. What's going on right now?
Good line. I agree with you.
Yeah.
He needs to recuse himself. Mueller, get out. There's too many conflicts of interest, and if you have any respect for the law, go. Same thing. Rosenstein, out. If you have respect for the law, get out. Recuse yourself. Coming up, should lawmakers forego, please, their August recess? I never saw so many people have so many vacations and advance the Trump agenda. Keep up with the president. We'll ask Congressman Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan, also Sarah Carter, Geraldo, next, straight ahead, live from D.C.
Another core principle is that those coming to our country must embrace our values and love our people. We cannot let these incredibly rich nations fund radical Islamic terror or terrorism of any kind. We cannot let it happen. Cannot let it happen.
President Trump at his rally in Iowa tonight talking about combating radical Islamic terrorism, extreme vetting. Here now with reaction, Circa News, Sarah Carter, Fox News correspondent at large, Geraldo Rivera. Great to see you again in D.C. This has got to be a priority, and yet I see judge shopping by the left on extreme vetting, and I see the Republicans in Congress too slow to fund the wall, which is going to be built anyway.
Well, I spent a lot of time at the U.S.-Mexico border, Sean. You know that. Yeah. I spent a lot of time in Afghanistan on the ground with our troops and in Iraq as well. I can tell you that this is a very significant problem. When it comes to vetting, one of the things that people don't think about is that countries like Syria, like Yemen, Libya, they have no functional governments. They can't even guarantee that the people that are coming over are the people that they say they are. So this is the problem that we're facing now, and we can see this with the acts of violence and terror in Europe, in the United States, what happened in London recently, and today.
Everywhere.
And today, you know, in Flint,
oh my
Michigan.
God,
yes.
Allahu Akbar with a knife?
Yes.
Oh, Geraldo?
You know, Sean, first of all, I want to congratulate the president on the special election yesterday. That was his to win, his to lose. He invested a lot of prestige, a lot of energy in the race. The Democrats had a good candidate. They only made one error, that he doesn't live in the district he was running in. That's like somebody from Staten Island running in Queens in New York City. Would never, ever happen, never get elected. That's why I could predict it so early on. I think the president, though, and you're talking about immigration and extreme vetting, and I think all of that is very appropriate. But he's in Iowa right now. The Iowa farmers are telling President Trump that they cannot harvest their crops. Why? Because they don't have the undocumented Mexican workers that they have come over the decades to rely on. I think that the president, in terms of the wall, has to declare victory.
I didn't hear that from anybody tonight. Although I love you to death. Who said that to the president? What are you talking about?
There are all kinds of tweets going on right now, a lot of emails being exchanged. A lot of farmers are suggesting to the president that their crops are dying in the field because they can't get enough undocumented migrant workers in there. I think that the president should declare victory on the southern border.
Geraldo,
he has cut immigration, illegal immigration by 3/4.
Geraldo, one of the things I get what you're saying there to some extent, but the problem with this argument is that we constantly hear this doing the jobs that Americans won't do. I mean, I think that for anything, this is just this is actually it's undignified to say that we need Mexicans to come over here and pick our crops because we can't find Americans to do it.
From California to Iowa and in between, they are saying exactly that. But the point is, the president is a lot more popular, certainly with his base and with the American people. He has to get past the noise, stick to his agenda, but he's going to have a hard time. Sean, you're interviewing the Freedom Caucus coming up. Those are the 40, 50 guys who did not support the bill because it was too generous in the House. And then the president calls it mean. The president calls it mean. Now, will they support a bill that is more generous to the recipients?
All right, I got to roll. I love you both. You drive me nuts, Geraldo. I don't know how you do it every time. Coming up, those are Republican lawmakers we were talking about. Should they cancel their recess to work on enacting the president's ambitious agenda? We'll check in with Congressman Mark Meadows, Jim Jordan. They say yes. I agree with them. Paul Ryan, I want you to watch the next segment.
We are keeping the promises we made to the people of Iowa and the people all over our country. We are not going to let the same failed and tired voices in Washington keep us from delivering the change you voted for and the change that you deserve.
All right, that was a lot more from President Trump's rally in Iowa earlier tonight. From day one, the president has pushed an aggressive agenda. Now some members of Congress are reportedly in favor finally canceling one of their many scheduled vacations, this one in August, in order to keep up to speed with Donald Trump. Joining us now, two of those GOP lawmakers who favor foregoing the August recess. The Freedom Caucus chairman, Congressman Mark Meadows, North Carolina, the former chairman, he got fired. I'm sorry, I'm an awful human being. Why do you even listen to me? Good to see you guys. How are you doing?
We wouldn't if you weren't an honorary member.
I am an honorary member, that's
right.
true. First thing, okay, we're not moving as fast as we want. It's 152 days.
Right.
And I interviewed Paul Ryan. He said everything was going to be done in 200 days. There's no way.
Right.
All right. Why have things slowed down?
Well, I think we just need to make decisions, Sean. I mean, we're into this. The president is working harder than we are, and that's part of why we've said, now is the time. Americans want results. We want results, and it's about making decisions and getting serious about the president's agenda.
Yeah, and I'll be honest, without the Freedom Caucus, there's no House health care bill. Now the Senate bill is released tomorrow, which I'm glad to hear. Yeah. Are you confident that it's going to be something that when you bring it in a conference, it's going to be okay?
We hope so, and we think so. Obviously, Senator Cruz, Senator Lee, some of the conservatives are working hard on it. But hopefully what comes out of there will be something that we can support. And we plan to, we hope to, because this is something we told the American people we're going to get done, and we need to get it done.
All right, one of the things you guys have been very outspoken, as I have been, about this entire investigative process. I call it mission investigative creep. And we start out with Trump-Russia collusion. That everybody, Democrats, all the former intelligence guys say that's not happening.
Right.
Okay, now we're going to obstruction, and now we're going to financial issues.
Crazy.
Well, they're just trying to divert the attention from the thing that is most important to the American people, Sean. They could care less about Russia. They are real concerned about what happens to them on Main Street, about making sure that they can make their mortgage payments, protect their job, all the things that the president campaigned on, building a border wall, which is critically important. We've got to get those things done, and this is a distraction that we can't afford to let happen.
We think it's time to investigate the investigators. Remember what James Comey told us.
Slow that down. Investigate the investigators.
Well, think about this.
It's true. There's so much unethical behavior here.
James Comey misled the American people twice. First, he did. The first one was at the direction of then Attorney General Loretta Lynch when she instructed him to call it a matter, not an investigation. Clinton was under investigation. She said, "Oh no, don't say that. Call it a matter." He goes, "Really?" But he did it. He did it willfully. He did it intentionally. This year, he furthers the perception that President Trump was under investigation when, in fact, he's not. So twice the Justice Department, the American Justice Department, misled the American people. They're not supposed to do that.
Were they supposed to meet on the tarmac? Well, and Sarah Carter, who was just on the program, says that she had put the kibosh and told people on any possible indictment.
So think about this. We passed a resolution in the House calling for a special counsel in the IRS investigation. Comey said no, even though Barbara Bosserman, the lead agent in the case, was a max-out contributor to Obama's reelection campaign. Several people called for a special counsel in the Clinton email investigation. Again, the Justice Department says no. But when it's about James Comey, when it's about his reputation, when it's about someone in the Justice Department, oh my goodness, we got to have a special counsel.
We get serious about it.
Yeah.
I think the other interesting aspect of this is the only thing that didn't leak was the fact that President Trump was not under investigation. I
want to go back to the agenda because this is important. I agree. Investigate the investigators, and that needs to happen immediately. And I hope Congress can they step in on that.
That's what it's time for hearings. All right. It's time for hearings on that issue.
All right, so the president got a Supreme Court justice, a promise made, promise kept. He's rolled back Obama regulations. That's going to help on energy. If the Republicans want 2018 to be free and clear for them and not a challenge, I think they've got to have Obamacare completed, repealed, replaced, as now you're working on. They've got to have his economic agenda, 15% corporate tax, 10% repatriation, middle-class tax cuts, jumpstart the economy, get these people out of poverty, off of food stamps and back to work. Energy independence, I think, will create millions of jobs. You know what that's like in both your states.
It is. And the immigration issue, the building the wall.
People got to see 200 miles of that wall.
They want to see it. And so when the president starts with solar panels, when the president turns over that first clod of dirt, and starts to build it, they will say, well, finally, Washington, D.C. swamp is about to drain.
No,
Okay, where is the leadership with you guys? Because when you guys first proposed, oh, let's stay through August, I saw some reluctance and resistance.
Well, we had a conference today, and some of the rank and file members were talking, look, if this is going to happen, let's start planning for it. Let's start figuring out how we do this.
What did Ryan say? I'm interested in what Ryan said.
The leadership didn't weigh in on it.
What did McCarthy say?
But more and more of our colleagues are coming up to us and saying, you know what? Let's get this stuff done. If we need the extra time to, in fact, do tax reform, let's get it done. We need to pass a budget. That unlocks everything. So let's pass this stinking budget. So
I'm going to put up on my website all those people that are willing to stay and those that are not. Because this has to get done.
Well, make sure the two of us are willing to stay.
Well, you guys started it. And I am an honorary member of the Freedom Caucus, ladies and gentlemen, in case you didn't know, although I think there's a vote tomorrow to see if they throw me out. Guys, thanks for being with us.
Thank you. It's great to be with you.
When we come back, a very important